Good morning, spiritual companions. We are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Continuing chapter 13, After the Passing Away. Page 544. Rakal returned from Dakshineswar. Narendra told him about Prasanna's going away from the monastery. Prasanna had left a letter for Narendra. This was the substance of the letter. I am going to Vrindavan on foot. It is very risky for me to live here. Here my mind is undergoing a change. Formerly I used to dream about my parents and other relatives. Then I dreamt of woman, the embodiment of Maya. I have suffered twice. I had to go back to my relatives at home. Therefore I am going far away from them. The master once told me, "Your people at home are apt to do anything. Never trust them." Rakal said, these are the reasons for his going away. Once he remarked, Narendra often goes home to look after his mother, brothers, and sisters. He supervises the family's lawsuit. I am afraid that I too may feel like going home, following his example. Narendra remained silent. Rakal was talking to them about making pilgrimages. He said, "We have achieved nothing by staying here. The Master always exhorted us to realize God. Have we succeeded?" Rakal lay down. The other devotees were either lying down or sitting. Rakal, let us go to the Narmada. Narendra, what will you achieve by wandering about? Can one ever attain jnana that you are talking about it so much? A devotee, then why have you renounced the world? Narendra, must we go on begetting children because we have not realized God? What are you talking about? Narendra went out, returning after a few minutes. Rakal was still lying down. A member of the monastery, who was also lying down, said teasingly, feigning great suffering on account of his separation from God, "Ah, please get me a knife. I have no more use for this life. I can't stand this pain any more." Narendra, feigning seriousness, "It is there. Stretch out your hand and take it." Everybody laughed. The conversation again turned to Prasanna. Narendra, even here we are involved in Maya. Why have we become sannyasis, I wonder? It was dusk. Sashi burnt incense before the picture of Sri Ramakrishna in the worship room, and then before the pictures of gods and goddesses in the other rooms. The evening worship began. The members of the Math and the other devotees stood with folded hands near the door of the shrine and witnessed the arati. Then they all sang in chorus a hymn to Shiva, to the accompaniment of bell and gong. It was 11 o'clock at night when their supper was over. The brothers prepared a bed for M, and all went to sleep. At midnight, M was wide awake. He said to himself, "Everything is as it was before. The same Ayodhya, which is the modern Oud in the United Provinces. It was the capital of Rama's kingdom. Only Rama is not there." M silently left his bed. It was the full moon night, the thrice blessed day of the Buddhists, associated with the Buddha's birth, attaining of nirvana, and passing away. M was walking alone on the bank of the Ganges, meditating on the Master. It was Sunday. M had arrived the day before and was planning to stay till Wednesday. The householder devotees generally visited the monastery on Sundays. The Yoga Vasishtha was being studied and explained. M had heard a little about the teachings of this book from Sri Ramakrishna. It taught the absolute identity of Brahman and the soul, and the unreality of the world. The Master had forbidden him and the other householder devotees to practice spiritual discipline, following the method of Advaita Vedanta, since the attitude of the oneness of the soul and God is harmful for one still identified with the body. For such a devotee, the Master used to say, it was better to look on God as the Lord and himself as the servant. The conversation turned to the Yoga Vasishtha. M. Well, how is Brahmajnana described in the Yoga Vasishtha? Rakal. Hunger, thirst, pain, pleasure, and so on are all Maya. The annihilation of the mind is the only means to the realization of Brahman. M. What remains after the annihilation of the mind is Brahman. Is that not true? Rakal. Yes. M. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that. Nagta taught him that way. Narendra and the other devotees were going to the Ganges to bathe. M accompanied them. The sun was very hot, so M took his umbrella. Sarat, a devotee from Baranagar, was going with them to take his bath. He often visited the monastery. M to Sarat. It is very hot. Narendra. Is that your excuse for taking the umbrella? M laughed. The members of the monastery were clad in gerua. M to Narendra. It is really very hot. One is liable to get a sunstroke. Narendra. I see that your body is the obstacle in your path of renunciation. Isn't that so? I am talking of you, Devendra Babu. M laughed and said to himself, is it merely the body? After bathing, the devotees returned to the monastery. They washed their feet and entered the worship room. Saluting the deity, they offered flowers. There was a big plot of wooded land to the west of the monastery compound. M was seated alone under a tree when suddenly Prasanna appeared. It was about 3:00 in the afternoon. M. Where have you been all these days? Everyone has been so worried about you. Have you seen the brothers? When did you arrive? Prasanna. Just now. Yes, I have seen them. M. You left a note saying that you were going to Vrindavan. We were terribly worried about you. How far did you go? Prasanna. Only as far as Konagar, a small town only a few miles from Baranagar on the other side of the Ganges. Both of them laughed. M. Sit down, tell me about it. Where did you stop first? Prasanna. At the Dakshinaswar temple garden. I spent the night there. M. Smiling. What is Hazra's present mood? Prasanna. Hazra asked me, what do you think of me? Both laughed. M. Smiling. What did you say? Prasanna. I said nothing. M. Then? Prasanna. Then he asked me whether I had brought tobacco for him. Both laughed. Prasanna. He wanted me to wait on him. Laughter. M. Where did you go next? Prasanna. By degrees I got to Konagar. I spent the night in the open. I intended to proceed farther and ask some gentleman whether I could procure enough money there for a railroad ticket to the upcountry. M. What did they say? Prasanna. They said, you may get a rupee or so, but who will give you the whole fare? Both laughed. M. What did you take with you? Prasanna. Oh, 1 or 2 pieces of cloth and a picture of the master. I didn't show the picture to anybody. Sashi's father came to the math. He wanted to take his son home. During Sri Ramakrishna's illness, Sashi had nursed the master for 9 months with unswerving zeal. He had won a scholarship in the final high school examination for his academic ability and had studied up to the BA, but he had not appeared at the examination. His father, a poor Brahmin, was a devout Hindu and spent much of his time in spiritual practice. Sashi was his eldest son. His parents had hoped that, after completing his education, he would earn money and remove the family's financial difficulties. But Sashi had renounced the world for the realization of God. Whenever he thought of his father and mother, he felt the great anguish of heart. Many a time he said to his friends with tears in his eyes, "I am at a loss as to my duty. Alas, I could not serve my parents. I could not be of any use to them. What great hope they had placed in me. On account of our poverty, my mother did not have any jewelry. I cherished the desire to buy some for her, but now all my hopes are frustrated. It is impossible for me to return home. My master asked me to renounce woman and gold. I simply cannot return home." After Sri Ramakrishna's passing away, Sashi's father had hoped that his son would come back to his family. The boy had spent a few days at home, but immediately after the establishment of the new monastery, he had begun to frequent it, and in a few days had decided to live there as one of the members. Every now and then his father came to the monastery to persuade him to come home, but he had not succeeded. This day, on learning that his father had come, Sashi fled the monastery by another door. He did not want to meet him. Sashi's father knew M. They paced the upper veranda together and talked. Sashi's father: "Who is in charge of this place? Narendra alone is the cause of all mischief." For a while, all these young men returned home and devoted themselves to their studies. M. "There is no one in charge here. They are all equals. What can Narendra do? Can a man renounce home against his own will? Have we householders, for instance, been able to give up our homes altogether?" Sashi's father: "You are doing the right thing. You are serving both the world and God. Can't one practice religion after your method? That is exactly what we want Sashi to do. Let him live at home and come here too. You have no idea how much his mother weeps for him." M became sad and said nothing. Sashi's father: "And if you speak of searching for holy men, I know where to find a good one. Let Sashi go to him." Rakal and M were walking on the veranda to the east of Kali's room. Rakal earnestly: "M, let us practice sadhana. We have renounced home for good. When someone says, 'You have not realized God by renouncing home,' then why all this fuss?" Narendra gives a good retort. He says, "Because we could not attain God, must we beget children?" Ah, every now and then Narendra says nice things. You had better ask him. M. What you say is right. I see that you too have become restless for God. Rakal. M. How can I describe the state of my mind? Today at noontime, I felt great yearning for the Narmada. M. Please practice sadhana, otherwise you will not succeed. Many people think that it is enough not to look at the face of a woman. But what will you gain merely by turning your eyes to the ground at the sight of a woman? Narendra put it very well last night when he said, "Woman exists for a man as long as he has lust. Free from lust, he sees no difference between man and woman." M. How true it is. Children do not see the difference between man and woman. Rakal. Therefore I say that we must practice spiritual discipline. How can one attain knowledge without going beyond Maya? Let's go to the big hall. Some gentlemen have come from Baranagar. Narendra is talking with them. Let's go and listen to him. M did not enter the room. As he was pacing outside, he overheard some of the conversation. Narendra, there is no fixed time or place for the sadhana and other devotions. Gentlemen, can one realize God through spiritual practice alone? Narendra, realization depends on God's grace. Without it, mere worship and prayer do not help at all. Therefore, one should take refuge in Him. Gentlemen, may we come now and then and disturb you? Narendra, please come whenever you like. We take our baths in the Ganges at your ghat. Gentlemen, I don't mind that, but please see that others don't use it. Narendra, we shall not use your ghat if that is what you mean. Gentlemen, no, I don't mean exactly that, but if you see other people using it, then you had better not go. It was dusk. The evening worship was over. They assembled in the big hall. M too was seated there. Prasanna was reading from the Guru Gita. Narendra sang, I salute the eternal teacher, the embodiment of the bliss of Brahman, the essence of knowledge and liberation, the giver of supreme joy, who is all-pervading like the Akasha, and is the goal of Vedanta's teachings, who is one, eternal, stainless, pure, and is the constant witness of all things, who dwells beyond all moods, transcending the three gunas. As Narendra sang in his melodious voice, the minds of the devotees became steady, like a candle flame in a windless place. End of today's reading.